over 2,600 kinds of plants have been identified and preserved in Tangjiahe Nature Reserve. It's hard to imagine only half a century ago, this place was a lumber mill. From 1950s to the 1970s, loggers chopped down tons and tons of acres of wood every year. A turning point came in the middle of the 1970s when researchers discovered that despite intense human activities, wild giant pandas still lived in the area. In fact, this place is one of their original habitats. Local authorities realized then that things had to be changed and soon took actions. They asked the central government for permission to establish a nature reserve in Tangjiahe. By the 1980s, all logging had stopped, and a wild panda observation station was built. It was the second one in China at that time. They named it Bai Xiong Ping, meaning white bear field, since local people called the giant pandas white bears.
This place is the former white bear field, used 30 years ago. That's the old cook stove. The working environment was very tough at that time. Look at the ditch built above. The water ran from the ditch for both water supply and electricity, with small hydroelectric generators.
Standing here really makes one appreciate what tough conditions those scientists worked in. They built everything from scratch.
It is quite appreciated. More than 30 years ago, before I was born, the older generation of scientists had already carried out a lot of research here, including Mr. George Scholler, Mr. Hu Jinshu, and my teacher, Mr. Wei Fuwan, who followed Mr. Hu Jinshu in his research, and then to me, who came back to this place after I graduated.
When you told your professor about the work you're doing here, he must be very proud.
Yes, he's very proud. And he always tells me stories like, when I was young.
A lot of legendary figures of Chinese conservationists actually have worked here. The very first generation protecting the giant panda.
Yeah.
Now it's your generation.
I think so.
George Scholler, an American conservationist, was among the first foreigners set foot in China to study wild giant pandas in their native habitats. Along with Chinese conservationist Hu Jinshu, known as the panda godfather, they laid the foundation of our knowledge today of these fluffy bears. Scholler's books, such as The Last Panda, also contributed to the Western knowledge of this beautiful animal. I found a photo on the wall documenting Scholler and Hu's joint expedition in Tangjiahe. The old observation station is now replaced by a new two-story conservation hut and some fresh new faces. Researcher Cui Hongyang had just finished her morning hike. Now, as a daily routine, she's noting down what animals have been spotted by some 80 trail cameras scattered around the station. And Grace, a volunteer from Taiwan, together with a local ranger, Wu Xiaolin, are studying the black bears living in Tangjiahe.
This is our new white bear field conservation station.
How many years had this new station been here?
This place was opened in 2014, and I came back to be the first station leader. Look at this photo. It was not long after I arrived that I rescued a panda, which came to our station after being injured.
What happened to him?
It had a belly injury and his intestines were sticking out. At the time, it was too far for the vet to come over, so we got a doctor from the county directly. The panda was treated for 11 days, but still not saved. Since then, we have had a volunteer veterinarian in the conservation station every year.
According to the last census done in 2013, there are 39 wild giant pandas still living in Tangjiahe's high-altitude plateaus. The lush high plateaus there are believed to be one of their original natural habitats. Under the care of these rangers, they are now safer than ever at their home turf.